Welcome to this series of videos. This is the second video. Previously we looked at how to turn the desk on, how to see stuff on the screen, looked at the home button, and we looked at each of the view buttons, and that changes stuff on the screen, and then we looked at how to load a default scene. In this video we're going to look at the workflow, or what to do and what order and how to do stuff as we plug a new input in. And this is just going to be some of the very basic things to do that anybody can follow. So the first thing that we're going to do is we have a microphone here. I'm going to be talking into this throughout the video, and you'll hear it coming through some other speakers. The first thing that we want to do is obviously try and find our instrument. So there are a few ways we can do that. We can get started. I'm going to press this button and get rid of one of those solo items because we'll talk about that later in a second. First thing we're going to try and do is find that instrument that we just plugged in. So here is the first 16 channels. We're looking at these lights and we can't see any lights. So what we're going to do is scroll to the next series of channels from 17 to 32 with this button, and we're going to have a look and see if we can see some lights on any of these channels. So as I speak, we can just see a hint of a light flashing here if I speak really loudly. And what we can do is we can check that this is working by pressing this solo button. As I talk into this, or as the person who's playing the instrument plays, we could hear this by plugging some headphones in and turning this up. The headphones come into this side, and so I've got my headphones plugged in here. Into this side. The good thing about this is no matter if the channel is muted or if it's very quiet, we'll still be able to hear the solo and it won't affect the front house mix. I'm going to go ahead and unmute the channel, and I can get rid of the solo, and I'm going to press the select button. Allow me to zoom in and go over here so you can see more of what's happening. As I press this, you'll notice that now all these things are now in focus for us. So the first thing I'm going to do is press the view button at the top. This changes what's on the screen, and what we're trying to do is using these lights, or if we want even more detail, these lights, we're going to try and get it between right on the edge of the green and the yellow. And the numbers that we're talking about is -18 and -12. So I'm going to use the gain. The gain is like a master, is like a volume. Check, check. And that is about where we want it. Maybe it's a little bit loud. So I'm going to pull this down a little bit. The 48V is 48 volts, and that's also known as phantom power. For some microphones, condenser microphones, you need to press that for them to work, such as the lectern mics or some drum mics, overheads, etc. Yeah, don't worry about the polarity. The next thing that we can talk about is low cut, and this is simply getting rid of some of the low frequencies. You'll notice I start to sound like a chipmunk or a radio, very poor quality radio. About 50 to 60 to 70 is good, and that gets rid of some of the frequencies that we aren't used to hearing in a voice. The next thing we're going to do is skip gate and ducker. We don't normally need that. And then we're going to come over to dynamics, which is compression. First thing I do is going to press the view so I can know what I'm dealing with. I'm also going to remember to press the engage button so that anything that I do actually happens. And I'm going to use this to pull the threshold down. And what that means is the lower this goes, you'll notice that this orange line is moving, and that is when the effect starts to work. So if I pull it all the way down, you'll notice that it's quiet, very, very quiet, and there's lots of red that we're seeing. That red means that we're losing signal. And so I'm going to pull this up to just normal comfortable level, and I'm just, as I speak comfortably, want it to be right on the knee, where the blue dot goes up, and then any further it will start going to the right. And what that means is it's pulling the volume down. This is really helpful if you have singers with poor mic technique. So you notice that I'm now pulling the mic very far away from my mouth. For someone like this, what we can do is pull that threshold all the way down, and so that if they even do go into the mic, then we don't lose our hearing. This is what it will sound like if I now remove that compression. Really far away, really close, and so that's very, very, very loud. So I'm going to engage that again. Next thing I'm going to do is think about the equalizer. I'm going to press view. Often with this desk, everything's nice when we keep it flat, but there might be some frequencies that we want to find. A good way to find it is to figure out if we want high, mid, low, etc. Each one of these buttons corresponds to colors here. So just say I want to choose the high mid's here. The first thing I'm going to do is bump the gain up. Now I forgot to press the button to engage the equalizer, and so for a little reminder for me is that it's gray here. When I press it, it will turn this yellow color, and that way I know that it is happening. Now as I do this, what I'm doing is looking for bad frequencies, and so what I do is I turn the gain up and then I move the frequency around and try and find the bad ones. So let's see if we can find something that's bad. Check, 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 check. Around here I sound quite silly. And so what I'm going to do, now that I've found that, I'm going to pull it down just a little bit. And we can remove. We always try and cut things with EQ. We don't try and boost things. We always try and cut them or bring the gain down. And that's about it. Thanks.